Hi, my name is Will Gadd, and I'm here to talk about dry tooling for BD tech tips. Dry tooling isn't natural. In rock climbing, you can feel the holds, right? You know exactly what's going on. But in dry tooling, you got this piece of metal, and you put it on a piece of rock, and it's supposed to work. And over the years, I've developed a pretty simple system for judging whether or not a dry tool placement is any good. Here's what it looks like. You want to find an edge of some kind and put your tool on it. Then first thing you do is give a little pull out. And if that's good, you know it's good for at least that amount of pull out. Give it a bit of a wobble. Is it like locked in there, or is it kind of wobbly and not very good? That tells you a lot. And then how sloping is the hold? So most holds aren't exactly 90. They have a sloped angle to them. So you pull to the side and you know, it slides that way. It's not very good. But if you pull that way, then it doesn't slide as easily. So it's kind of a really basic 3-axis test. It's like, is it good out? Is it good side to side? And is it good if you let the pick wobble at all? And the smaller and more precise dry tooling holds get, the more all this matters. And then as you stand up, if you've done that outward pull, you know it's good as long as you don't like try to pull out really radically on it or something. And you know that if you've set the angle relative to the edge of the hold, then as long as you hold that, and the shaft of the tool is exactly 90 to it, then you know it's good. And then just don't let the tool wobble, or else it'll pop. So it's the 3-axis test. You can call it like, you know, out, side to side, and wobble. So the most common form of a dry tooling placement is some kind of flat edge. That's your basics, whether you're alpine climbing, sport mix climbing, whatever. Most of the time you start out with a flat edge. So if you come over here, here is your classic flat edge. But you don't get to look at it. If you're looking at it like this, it's kind of sketchy because it can blow out at you. So generally you're underneath it like this. And you're going, is this any good? I don't know, is it any good? Like, what's going on up there? So here are these 3 little tests you can do to evaluate whether this edge is any good. First thing you can do is pick up on the tool and pull out a little bit. Does it stay once it's pulled out like that? Yeah, so it'll hold at least that amount of outward pull. You've tested that. Next thing is you can wobble it back and forth. Does it wobble easily? Yeah, this one's pretty wobbly, but it's a little bit less wobbly right over here. Okay, now I've got a bit more contact. And then finally, you can go like this. Does it slide? Well, it slides that way to my left, a little bit easier, but it takes a fair amount of force that way. So with those 3 tests, I now know that if I pull out, too much, I'm gonna end up on my back. That's classic. But as long as I don't pull out too much, it's gonna hold. But if I do pull out too much, it's gonna blow. And then as long as I don't let it wobble like that too much, or pull too much to the side, it's good. And then I have to keep that angle of pull. If I get sloppy and I'm like looking down at my feet and then it comes off and it's out. Or if I start going, oh, it's good, and then I say, you know. So once you set that tool, I try to figure out the axis of that hold. And that means the position that it's best in. So this edge slopes from the lower left up here. This is the kind of axis or line of the hold. And I want to keep my tool at 90 degrees to that line. If I let the tool skate sideways, this way it'll blow. This way it's a little bit more resistant to blowing. But again, right steady 90 degrees to that line, and then 90 degrees to the rock. So the shaft of the tool is straight out. I'm not letting it wobble around like this at all. And then also 90 degrees straight down. If I pull out too much, it's gonna blow. But if I stay, again, straight down and underneath it, that works really well. After you get the hold kind of figured out, you've done your 3-axis test, you know what's going on, the next part of it is moving on it. And a lot of dry tooling is keeping your tool super still. You can't change the angle of pull or it'll probably blow and you'll whip and that'll be bad. So keeping that tool in exactly that position. A lot of people when they start dry tooling, they think this is the hold. This is not the hold. This is the hold right here. And you've got to keep that organized. It's a different way to think about things. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll just grab here. But if you grab here, then it changes the pull on the tip of the pick, on the hold, makes it way outward and it'll come flying off and hit you in the face, and dental work's expensive, so you don't want to do that. In general, the more down you can keep that pull, the better. and the more organized you can keep your tool, the better. The classic novice thing you see is they reach up, get something up there, and then just start pulling on it, stand up, and it blows, and they fall off, and you know. Yeah, healthcare is a good thing. But don't do that. Like, get it in up there, get it organized, do your tests, and then super smooth, move up on it, keeping all that pull exactly the same, because that's your hold. That's the thing that's keeping you on the rock. I visualize this as a cup of coffee. So the cup of coffee has to stay exactly the same. I'm gonna move over here, I'm gonna move over here, down, up, but as soon as I start moving my hand around and changing the angle of pull on that, the coffee cup's gonna spill and I'm gonna fall off. So you can kind of visualize yourself climbing up, you do your tests on each one, and then that's a coffee cup. You can move around it, but you can't change your pull on it. In rock climbing, we're used to getting an edge, you clamp onto something and then it's like, completely change your angle, pull on it. Dry tooling, that doesn't work. Can't treat dry tooling holds like, normal old rock climbing holds. So now you got your tools all figured out. The next part is your feet, and it works exactly the same with your feet. It's like, look at it, and that's the big advantage, is you can see what you're getting into. Put your foot onto it, and then give it a quick side to side. How does that feel? Stand up on it a bit. How does that feel? It's probably good, and then a quick push side to side as well. And if that's good, you know it's on. You've got to keep it totally still. If I stand up on some little foothold, and it'll just blow off. My foot's all over the place. So if you watch a good climber mixed climbing, hopefully their feet stay super solid, even as they change. And then I just tested that one, it was no good. This is kind of classic here. My tools are like pretty much sideways. If I rotate them, they're just gonna pop out. So nice smooth movement, keeping your feet in exactly the same positions. And if I pretend to have coffee cups in my hands, then the same thing applies to my feet. You can, maybe it's shot glasses on your toes. You can visualize a little shot glass there and be like, yeah, if I wobble my foot, the shot glass is gonna fall off. If I pick up my foot, the shot glass is gonna fall off. But keeping it exactly in the position that you put it on the rock in. With time, you can develop it to where you start to almost feel the tip. After a full season of like giving or dry tooling and mixed climbing, I feel like I grow nerve endings into the ends of my tools. I mean, obviously I don't, but I can really feel it and get that information very quickly with that basic test. So that's dry tooling with your tools 101. 3-axis, yeah, you're good to go. Took me like 10 years to figure that out. Hopefully it makes sense to you in like 5 minutes.